Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we're talking about The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 18, and our recommendations on The Midnight Club, Handmaid's Tale, Prey, Ambulance, and more. Sam is back today to join me in talking about The Walking Dead. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing amazing. How was your day?
It was really nice. I did have a little bit of trouble on my way home. There was just like a ton of traffic and I didn't really know why. So it's really nice to be home and, I didn't have to like fight anybody.
Fight? Oh, that leads us right into our question of the day, because there was some fighting going on The Walking Dead. There was actually wrestling happening, which was kind of reminiscent of Fear the Walking Dead, where they had that wrestling. No,
I'm behind.
Sorry, I forgot.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, there is a wrestling rink episode on there. And we see somebody who used to be a wrestler on there. I think it was Aisha Tyler.
I love her. She's on Fear the Walking Dead?
Yes.
Man, I'm going to have to watch it.
And it's interesting because she's on it, but then because she also directs, and she's really good at directing. She is on it, but then they have her off sometimes doing something out there, doing something else. So she's not on every episode, but she and her husband were wrestlers. And so there is an episode where she tries to get back to her husband, and she has to wrestle with these walkers, and she's like doing wrestling moves, and it's so entertaining. It's so entertaining.
I feel
It's
like if
funny.
done right, it can be entertaining, but other than that, it might be cheesy.
Yeah, I liked it. I just went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight and Sherry were on that episode. I like them. So
I forgot about
it
them.
so it was great. It was a great episode. So let's roll into this question of the day, which is, which Walking Dead character would make a great wrestler?
I would have to say Ezekiel. I feel like he's already like dramatic. He was in the theater. He was king, a King Ezekiel for so long. He can command a room, be really entertaining. And then I thought, if not him, then maybe I would love to see a fight between Abraham and Mercer. Just both big, beefy men, strong, powerful. I think it'd be very interesting to see them kind of get into like a tussle.
Those are good picks. The four that came to my mind were Jerry.
Oh no, he's too soft. He's Jerry.
I know. I could see him with it just kind of being this lovable guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Jerry. And then I thought of Beta.
Oh, I forgot about Beta.
Yeah, because he's big.
Yes, I'm in.
And then I'm in. Then I also thought about Mercer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Abraham went through my brain. But somebody just as a fun person would be Princess.
Oh, she'd be so good.
So I'm like, oh, I could see this.
You could have like her and Zeke as like the people who like fluff the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know either.
And then like the main fight. Rosita might be a good one too.
Ooh.
Because she's a really good fighter.
Yeah.
And I think people would underestimate her because she's small.
There's so many people I can think of right now. Like I thought of Sasha, Tyrese, there's all of them.
Sasha
too.
would be good too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is just reminiscing about these characters.
Which is really
love
funny.
them.
I have no problem picking out people in The Walking Dead that could be a wrestler, but I've never really watched wrestling. When I was a kid, I thought it used to be the WWF and then it became the E, I think, because they had to fight with like the World Wildlife Fund. And I loved animals as a kid, so I was like, let's go watch that, because it's going to be animals, and then it wasn't. It was wrestling. My dad was very pumped. He was like, you want to watch, like, that? I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, okay. We get there. I'm like, wait, Dad, where are, like, the pandas and stuff? It's like, no, it's wrestling. I was like, I'm going to go.
Oh, my gosh. That's hysterical. I love that. Oh, okay. We could keep talking about wrestling, but we'll move on to the actual episode, but I do want to ask our listeners out there to let us know what they think. Which Walking Dead character would make a great wrestler? Let us know. You can leave us a comment on social media, our website, or email at screensinfocus@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you and hear your answers. The links are in the show notes. All right, so let's get to episode 18, The New Deal. So Pamela and crew interrupt Daryl and company, but not before Daryl gets his stab in. Hornsby seems to be the scapegoat for Pamela and Sebastian, but has some leverage that will complicate things. Most of our group prepares to leave the Commonwealth as Founders Day is celebrated with festivities, wrestling, and lottery. Right before it all goes to hell, and Sebastian gets his comeuppance. So, Sam, what did you think of this episode overall?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good, I think it would be hard to follow the first episode, because the first episode was so good that I was afraid that this episode wasn't going to be as strong. And then it was. It wasn't really boring. And I think for the most part, because there was a ton of action, I'm just happy that we didn't have to wait very long for Sebastian to get got. Yeah. But then, thinking about how Sebastian got, it made me question why no one helped him or Max. I don't understand, they watched Sebastian push Max towards this, this walker, and everyone was just, afraid. So, but then again, I've got a lot of issues with the Commonwealth and how they handle their zombies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's probably going to keep coming up. But I did at the end, after he had gotten bit, and Max, it was standing there walking away or whatever, how the walker got shot but not him, and the walker got shot by Judith, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you think?
I loved this episode. I thought it started off so good with that whole Daryl and all the rest of them underground. I thought that was really great. I thought Daryl was so badass. My energy was up. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, yes, I love this. But then I also felt really emotional. And, I'll speak to more about that later on, because I have reasons why I think I was so emotional. Plus, I think they did make it emotional. But I felt that a lot of the story moved forward, and that some really big things happened, and that a lot was revealed. And then, that whole Sebastian moment, it was just a really good episode that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I just hope that I think that the rest of them will continue, because we only have 6 more, and it's a lot of story to tell. So I think that this is going to be a really good last piece to season 11. So I'm really excited. So what stood out to you in this episode?
So I think Max had a good idea for her little revenge plan to, or to expose a Sebastian. I just think it was in the wrong hands. I don't think her or Eugene are evil enough or villainous enough to really pull that off. Because I also think she's acting out of anger as well. And rightfully so. She should be pissed, but don't let that, dictate what you do. Because I think had she thought it through, then, even if he hadn't gotten eaten, there probably would have been repercussions, and maybe they didn't think it was her. Maybe they think it's Eugene, because Eugene is part of, the other crew. And I wonder if she told Eugene about the plan, or if he's up there blind,
I think he must have known what was on that, because doesn't he ask her, are you sure? But at the same time, I felt that they didn't have a good escape route in place, because
she kind of went rogue, and I feel like she had no idea the others, that our crew was in the tunnels trying to secure everyone's, everyone being safe. And so
maybe they didn't expect Sebastian to react the way he did either. Maybe she didn't expect that.
She had to have known something, though, because he's not the most, even-keeled human.
No, he's
And
not.
he also thinks whatever's going to happen, my mom will get me out of it. And he's right. Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
I also really liked Rosita and Gabe interacting. We don't really get to see them too much. And, I think, was it last year? Or when Sadiq was killed and she had gotten injured or something, and he wanted her to take a step back from like always being, in the middle of it, because she does have a kid and that kind of stuff. So like they were kind of at odds at times. So it's nice to see that they're like not at odds anymore. I like them being able to talk to each other and that kind of stuff.
It was really nice to see them together again because it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. That was a really good, I was really glad that they were connecting and that they were showing them.
Yeah, I also thought it was hilarious how he was kind of like ragging on his parishioners bringing him stuff. He was talking about how he doesn't want like potato salad or something from Mrs. whatever her name is. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what the episode kind of needed, was a little bit of levity because it was heavy.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that stood out to me was, of course, Daryl. I think he's so awesome. I was a little bit surprised. I don't know why, but I felt, like I said, I was excited, but I was a little bit surprised by his actions. I felt like he really, really wanted to kill Hornsby right at that moment and that no one was going to get in his way and he was going to do it. And I thought, wow, I don't know that I've seen Daryl quite like this. And, Mercer comes and Pamela comes and they say this is more than about you. But it's not until Carol walks in and then Daryl turns around and says, "What have you done?" I thought, oh my goodness, he's like irritated with her for whatever, she's arranged. And then the fact that he stabbed Hornsby with that big fat knife. I mean, it was jagged edged and it was huge. And I thought that scream that Hornsby let out was such a good one.
Yeah.
He's so good. He's so good in his portrayal, Lance Hornsby. And then Daryl walks off and says he'll live. So I just love that. But then we get this contrast of him in this parental role that he's struggling with. So, I like seeing that. I like seeing these two different sides where he's ruthless, but yet he's also tender. And I just liked his conversation with Carol. I loved his conversation with Judith. I like that he talks to her about not knowing what he's doing and trying to figure that all out. I don't know, just their conversation about him talking about, his hiding place and just sharing all this stuff with Judith, and that he really wants her life to be how she imagines it. And so, I don't know, it was just really sweet. And then I started thinking about how Daryl's been there since she's been born. So even though
his little ass kicker.
Yeah, but even though he's not her parent, he's been there her whole life, and she has had him her whole life. So I just think it's a really sweet relationship.
I had a fear after, what was her name? The one who Maggie killed.
Leah, I was going to say, but Daryl killed Leah.
Oh, that's what I meant. He killed her because she was going after Maggie. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was afraid that because he had opened himself up to her, that he would shut down because the one person he may have loved ended up betraying him essentially. Yeah. And so it's really nice to see that that's not the case. And he, I think he recognizes that it's not just about him anymore. And which is the advice that, we hear later on from Negan.
Yeah.
But I thought that was nice. In a contrast, that very tender moment, the other thing that I think I keep thinking about is that those poor grunt workers that were killed by those goons. I just, first of all, Founders Day should not be a thing. Don't like Founders Day. It's a thing. It's not for everybody. It's for those that already enjoy life. So they have to work on this Founders Day. And how did no one hear the gunshots? I guess it's
the same
silencer,
thing.
And I know that silencers in movies and TV are not the same as in real life. But then I thought maybe those people have never really heard a gunshot, so what would they, they might think it's a firework or a balloon, because they're not used to, the real world. And then there were 8 people working, and how many other people, after they got out, and no one knows how to fight. One man decided to curl himself into a fetal position.
I saw
that. Sir, that's what you do with bears, not zombies. Why is that?
Oh gosh.
So I questioned, like, really, like on its face, the Commonwealth looks great, but you're in there and, you know, your people can't fight off one zombie. There's like 500 people.
I know.
But Mercer, he just like walks off and handles it, which I love. And Daryl and Judith, you know, like once they were all like out and stuff. There were 8 zombies day, and it took down like 15, 20 people.
Oh, I know. I thought the same thing. It was like chaos and yeah, that one guy, I noticed him too. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my gosh. The same thing with Sebastian.
Oh, yeah.
You know, him just flailing around and help me. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
How did that zombie get behind him? Because I guess I thought the zombie she was on top of him, and then he just like rolled to the side or something.
Yeah, he pushed her or whatever. Started,
but then didn't continue getting up. But I guess if you're used to other people doing everything for you, you're gonna assume that there's gonna be a person there to kill the zombie, I guess. But
yeah.
I would just keep rolling to safety. I don't know.
Yeah. I still keep imagining Eugene, the way he ran over, because his run is like funny, and he pushes a zombie out of the way from Max.
I can't with him. His braid is so long, he's going to need a holster for it.
His braid? You were wondering how long his braid was going to be.
Yeah, and it's way further, like, he's further along than I thought. I just, so we're watching The Rings of Power, and the character, the dwarves, because they have their long beards and stuff, they have holsters for their beards. I want Eugene to have one for his braid. And that's the other thing, too, is like...
Oh my God, that's so funny, a holster.
People with long hair in the apocalypse just stress me out, because that's plenty of grabbing things.
Exactly.
And so Eugene needs to handle that. So he doesn't really go out in the field anymore, but I feel like he needs to lock that shit down so he doesn't have to worry about it. I guess maybe he could put it in his shirt.
Yeah.
Or a jacket.
He's just connected to that hair, man. He just is. I don't know. One of these days.
Yeah.
I was mentioning earlier that I was really emotional in this episode, and I kept tearing up. And of course, I was vocalizing it. My husband's all, why? Why? Because I kept saying, my eyes are welled up. He's all, why? I'm like, I don't know. But I felt like everyone was talking directly to me every time they were talking. Mm-hmm. So it was like their goodbyes. I was projecting whatever they were saying, knowing that it's the end, that they are telling me goodbye. So with Negan, he's talking to his wife. Now, I know he's not going anywhere, but still, he's talking to his wife. And as you had mentioned, he had said that his dad had always said, once you have a child, you're not living for yourself anymore. Mm-hmm. You're kind of living for that child. And Negan says he always wanted that. And now it's like a realization it's coming true. But in saying that right now, it makes me wonder, because when you say something, then you think, oh my gosh, that could be taken away from you. So, and as you were mentioning last episode, because I was telling you that how Daryl may get traded, and then we talked about maybe Herschel getting traded, and then you had brought up maybe Annie and her baby, or her, Annie herself being traded. And so maybe, I don't know, hopefully he doesn't lose her, but I just thought it was a really sweet moment. I thought it was very moving to me how he was speaking about being a father, and my eyes were all welly. And then when Father Gabriel was giving his sermon, and when Rosita came in, and he was talked about finding his way back to God, his calling, having a legacy, and she was telling him, what you've given these people, it'll always be here. It'll be here forever. And I thought, why are they saying this stuff? I feel like somebody's going to die. And then Lydia is talking to Carol, and we see Elijah come up, and you know that that's the start of a relationship. And when she starts to talk to Carol, her eyes are welled up with tears. So guess what? My eyes are welled up with tears because she says, I haven't forgot about Henry. And then Carol's eyes are all welled up with tears. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? It was all throughout the whole episode. And then with Judith and her conversation with Daryl, it was the same thing that I was feeling for her. And just all of it. And Ezekiel, I felt like he was telling his goodbye. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to die too. He's telling Carol, this is a second chance. But now we see what's happening with the Commonwealth. So is that going to still be his second chance? Is he still going to be there and be able to do all that? So with all of that, I was just feeling a lot of emotion. And I have a feeling for me, I'm going to keep feeling that because I know we're nearing the end. And I have loved these characters since day one. I connected to them. They connect to everybody who watches them, everybody who watches the show. They are connected. That's the whole reason you watch. You're connected to these characters. Something about them is touching you, or you either feel for them or you
relate.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
You can't imagine being them, one way or the other. So I just think that the whole Walking Dead community, that's why that is a big community, because people are connected through this show. And so, oh my gosh, it's just Walking Dead's going to be a huge, huge legacy in itself. It's a long running zombie show, which has never happened before. So it's fun to watch it, and it's fun to, be with these characters, and it will be sad when it's done.
It'll be sad. And I think too, The Walking Dead came about when we were just starting to get into a golden age of TV and movie and stuff. So I think it's one of the earlier ones that got in before it got really going. Yeah. So I think that sticks out to people, because now when you say it's the golden age, you could say well, which one are you talking about? But back then, if you say, we have there's this really good a TV show on, you'd be like, oh, is it The Walking Dead? So that's kind of nice to think about.
So do you have any other thoughts or tidbits on the episode?
Yeah, I was shocked when Ezekiel said he wasn't going to go with them. And then I remembered that he's running a clinic to help the people that can't afford to get the good surgeries and stuff. And so
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was the animal.
No, I thought the same thing too. And then when I watched it again to take my notes, I was like, there's gotta be some other, the clinic. Cause I think she even says we can maybe bring, Yumiko's brother. And I think he is also helping out at the clinic. So I think I could be wrong about that, but that's what led me to think about the clinic. So. And then I was hoping one of the pets that he had, one of the goats or the rabbits, I really hope he named one after his tiger.
Aww.
Because that would be a nice way to honor her.
Yes.
Which I'm not entirely sure that 6 zombies could take down a giant tiger, but that's a whole other podcast, I think. I think Annie and Negan should stay in the Commonwealth, or maybe they should have worked into their contract or their escape plan that she should get to come back and take and be able to use the healthcare, because I know she doesn't want to rely on the Commonwealth, but you might have to with that baby. But what was weird is she said I'm not staying here, I'm not doing it, it's about us. And then she points to the ultrasound, but it's not about, about us. She's making it that because she doesn't want to stay here.
Yeah.
But I really do hope he can talk some. I mean, they may not have a choice now because they might be kicked out, but.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what happened with the Horde that they were all on lockdown for? What happened with that? Because I don't think the B team went over to save, those people. And I don't think just Rosita and Mercer could have taken it down, and then everyone was down in the tunnels and stuff.
Yeah.
So was it ever real? Do they have I know that there was a zombie, we saw a horde, but do they have a speaker that just plays random zombie noises to keep people in line?
Well, we saw the last shot that we saw. It was so bizarre because we saw the two Jeeps go and the horde followed them.
Yeah.
The only thing that I thought was weird was the one I thought Rosita and Mercer were heading right back into the horde. I'm like, why are you making a circle into them? But it was showing that these walkers were following it. So maybe they did drive away because we see Mercer and Rosita back here. So they must have taken care of business somehow, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think he would leave it if it wasn't like handled. I just thought maybe it wasn't as close as we thought it was. So I have no idea. And then I truly wonder, does the Commonwealth provide the regular people any kind of like training? Do they have any like plans if something does happen? Like, you know, do you have like emergency routes out of town? I don't know. I just wonder about all of that.
Well, the emergency thing would be pretty good, but I don't think that they train them because I think that they want them to rely on them.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think. Because if they become too strong, then they could fight against them. So they probably want to leave them not prepared unless you're a trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
but even then, they get torn apart like they're bakery items.
I know. So true. That's because training can only do so much. You've got to kind of like live it and do it, right?
Yeah. But so do you think, I'm thinking about, so our group has been here for what, 6 months, maybe? I'm trying to think of like the time jump. I know we had like a couple months, but like what did did the Commonwealth face these things before and they were totally fine? And is our group just that much of like a nuisance that now there's like, you know, like there's a ton of chaos and, you know, whatever else? Or did this stuff just not happen to them and now they have bad luck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we haven't really gotten any like info really on the Commonwealth. Like I wouldn't mind like a spin-off of how the Commonwealth got started. That'd be kind of interesting just to see like where, like how they ended up where they are.
No, makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think that if Aaron hadn't have found Rick and crew, that the Alexandrians would be as useless as most of the Commonwealth people? Because our crew kind of helped to come in and like train them and, you know, that kind of stuff.
I think that Rick and crew did help them become better. I think that they weren't very good at fighting and it just seems like, anytime you're contained in a community and you are trying to make it like normal, you lose that edge that you would have from fighting out there. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a fine balance, right? Because you don't always want to be fighting mode and, you know, always on the defensive, but you also don't want to be ill prepared too. Because I'm just thinking about at all the places, right? Even like when the governor had Woodbury, they were like that too, right? So they didn't really know what they were doing, weren't really good at it. Mm-hmm. And then you have Alexandria that was the same. I can't remember Hilltop people. They might have been better prepared because I think that's, it's hard to recall.
I think they were because, I think they were probably the best out of all the ones we're naming.
But, on Oceanside. Yeah. They're prepared too, as much as they can be. Yeah.
Do you think that, I'm sorry.
No, because I was going to say though, the difference I think with Alexandria, the Commonwealth, and Woodbury is because they were trying to make it so much like regular life.
Yeah, like the world hadn't gone to shit yet.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like because of that, in those three places, that people were really ill-equipped and didn't know what the heck they were doing and just...
And like Alexandria is kind of like the perfect... that is the perfect balance if you think about... I mean, if the world wasn't like trying to fight everyone. Like if they could just do their thing in Alexandria, they have, you know, comforts, but they also have to go out in the world and that kind of stuff. So
right. Yeah.
Have you noticed that every place that our group goes, it just like implodes at some point? Like, are they really the good guys or are they the bad guys?
I know, right? They're always stirring up some shit.
Always.
It's like, oh my God. But we're like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, it's because they're seeing the things that are wrong.
Yeah.
And everyone just lets it go, right? And they're like, no, we're not going to let it go. We're not going to let you. These people are missing, right? And they, so it's like, where are these people?
Yeah.
Everyone should know where these people are. So, yes, that's so funny. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah. There's a horror movie called it's Ted and Dale versus the World, I think, or
Tucker and Dale. Yeah,
and it's like that versus the world or against the world or something. It's a horror comedy movie. Okay. It's about these two these two guys who live like in the woods. They're hunters. They're kind of like simple folk. Just like it's like so they go into town to do their normal stuff, and what ends up happening is it's a horror movie told from their perspective. So there are like four like really good looking teens, and they're like, oh, we're heading up here, and there's a creepy gas attendant guy, and then there are these two who look like they belong in a horror movie, and they're these like hot teens are talking, and these two are back here talking like, do you think we should go say hi? We could always use more friends. Like, we have a cabin on the lake. Like, we can invite them to go up here. And they're talking about really like lovely stuff. So they're like, okay, yeah, here's the plan. So they walk up, and what they intend to say is, hi, my name, they want to introduce themselves. We have this cabin, whatever. And what comes out is, like, y'all new around here, and he just looks really creepy, and they're like, oh, that's the creepy guy they were talking about. So then they flee, and it's them trying to the whole movie, it's trying to like make up to these teens so they can be friends, but like hilarity ensues, and it's a really good movie because it like you think it's gonna be they're the bad guys and these young teens are the good guys, but it's like the other way around.
Oh my gosh.
It's so
when
funny.
was this movie made?
2013 or something. It's older.
Yeah. I don't know it. I don't know that one. So
I think it's
so
on
funny.
Netflix. That's where we watched it.
Check it out. Yeah.
It has Alan, it's Tudyk.
Yeah, that's the guy on Resident Alien.
Yeah, yep. He's like one of the main characters, and then I don't know like who the other guy is, but it's so funny.
Oh my gosh, now I want to watch it because he's in it. He's so funny.
It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil is what it's called.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I want to check that out.
It's so good.
All right.
Anyway,
well, see, that's another TV and movie recommendation. All right. So when Sebastian was being eaten, I
cheered.
Oh, so good for you. I don't know if I cheered. I don't even know what my reaction was because I was so into it. I was like, oh my gosh. It just,
she was tearing him apart like he was like a prime rib.
Yeah.
She was, and like, I'm happy it was her.
And I thought all that blood that was coming out of his mouth was all dark. And I thought that was crazy. I thought, oh my gosh. He played such a good role.
Oh, he was great.
Theo Rapp Olsen. I think he was really good because you see him on The Talking Dead. He's a totally nice guy.
Is he English?
No, he's not.
I just always assume everyone is English.
I know, right? No, he's not. It's so funny when you see them in a different way because he is a nice looking guy. He's got a great personality. He's very gracious, and it's so opposite of what he portrays. And I love that. I love it when you see the actor and you really like the actor, the person portraying it, and you see the role and you're like, man, he's really good for doing this. How good is he? I just want to say kudos to the actor and, for doing his character and his death are really done really well. I thought that Hornsby and Milton and their conversation was so revealing. The music was so intense and the power that she has over him. Wow. That lady, I'm like, geez.
She has power, but you have to be careful because he's like a rat.
She does.
Like I love rats. Like, I don't have anything against rats. They're adorable. I'd love to own one. But you back a rat into a corner and they're going to come at you. And like, what are you going to do?
Absolutely. And that, he was so shocked at what, she was doing. He's all, come on, you could drop the act. And she's basically saying, no, you've gone too far. And, that's when he says, well, there are alliances that will come into play that you need me. And again, there's that, that leverage that he has that he's kind of sharing with us, although we don't know it fully. And what I think is his trading with the CRM. Well, I think it's with the Civic Republic. We'll find out what it really is. But I just think we're going to learn more about that in the next few episodes. So, and you had already brought up about the two, I call them the two thugs.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting the innocent workers. And I felt so bad because the guy wanted to win the lottery.
I know.
And I thought that would be me. I know, because I'm always saying I'm going to win the lottery. So I'm like, poor guy. And then specifically, Sebastian tells Max on that tape recording that his mother hand picks the lottery numbers and who's going to win. I'm like, oh my gosh. I think that's when people were like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We have no chance of winning.
I thought you said his recording, and I thought it was really nice that the very end just kind of like it as starts to fade out. Like you just hear him talking about I forget what the last, and that
something about
really
the rich people will always,
which, Walker is eating the rich. Like you couldn't eat like a richer human, so I thought that's maybe a little too on the nose, but
yeah. Also, I was confused for just a little bit about where Aaron, I know he said he was going to the Oceanside. Mm-hmm. I understood that, but then I didn't understand that Lydia was going there and then that Jerry was going there. And I'm like, where are they all going?
Are they going there because it's like the most they can't go to Alexandria because it's gone. The same thing with Hilltops. Are they going there because that's the next I
don't know their main reason. I have no idea why they're going there, but with the previews that we saw, which I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'll talk about that when we get there, but I'm a little bit concerned. Yeah. We'll get there in a minute. Yes. I didn't understand that part, how they were splitting up, even though Maggie's all, we get to stay together now. But of course she's going to Alexandria. And then we didn't get to see Princess this episode again. We will see her at least in the next one. And that RJ was reading Invincibles. And I thought that is so cool because that's the Robert Kirkman comic books about a coming of age superhero. That's on Prime if no one has seen that.
I've never heard of it.
Oh my gosh, my son kept texting me. He's like, Mom, you have to watch this. You have to watch this. And so the main character is voiced by Stephen Yeun. And there's other Walking Dead characters in this.
I love that.
A animated, a graphic novel.
Okay.
I think it's on Prime. So you should check that out. But it was so funny because I totally recognized it because RJ had it and it says Invincibles all over the page. So I thought that was really cool. So Sam, we are at our segment and the award goes to. So I would like to know, what was your favorite quote, character, or moment?
So I'm going to go with the moment when all hell breaks loose and, the walkers come in and Pamela's freaking out and she looks to Mercer and he's starting to go protect his people and she stops him and she's like, no, you're supposed to protect me or something. And then he says, no, ma'am. And then he just walks away. I wonder if he would have done that a year ago. I think he probably, I think he's still in his core a really good person. So I think he would have eventually got there to go and help the main threat. But I think he would have gotten her to safety first. Yeah. But I think because he knows that all's not good down in Oz. I think he's starting to to wake up and be she's fine. There are other people.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really great. And it made me think. And she was super shocked, which I think should be her clue that all's not right in Denmark, which is what I meant to say instead of Oz, but I couldn't think of the thing.
I think that's a super good thought. I think that's great. And yeah, her face.
So good.
When he didn't, because he said, no, I'm here to protect the people, the Commonwealth people. And she was, because she just cares about herself.
Yeah.
So I thought he was going to go check for his sister too, but
Oh,
He wasn't involved in that aspect of it.
no. I'm sure he worries about her, but he probably trusts enough where she is that she's probably okay. I like the woman who plays Pamela Milton. She's also in The Boys, which is on Prime. Her name is Layla Robbins.
Yes.
She's great. I like her in The Boys. I like her in this. I think I've seen some other stuff.
You know what movie that I absolutely love that she's in? It's an old movie, and it's one of my favorite old movies. And I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's one of my favorite holiday movies, and it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
No, I've never seen that.
Oh my gosh. That is like, seriously, it's one of my favorite movies with Steve Martin and John Candy, but she plays his wife.
Okay.
And she's not in it hardly at all. She's just the person that he keeps calling to because he wants to get home.
Mm-hmm.
And so he calls her ever so often to talk with her. And they just show these little moments of her waiting for him to come home.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not in it, like I said, very much, but it's a really important role that she plays.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're going to have to watch that movie, but there's a end moment with them that's just really sweet.
Aww.
And with Steve Martin and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so when I see her, I'm like, wait, you're the sweet wife on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So what are you doing?
So like on The Boys, she kind of plays like a tough person.
Yes.
So, which is what she's playing as, Pamela Milton, but it'd be funny to see her as anything else.
Yeah, you should check out that, especially during the holidays.
Okay.
Especially, it's a Thanksgiving, not a Christmas. It's a Thanksgiving movie. It's so funny. I think you'll like it. I think you will.
Well, so I think I probably will too. Like I know enough about it that I think I'll enjoy it. But what is hilarious is there's a theory out in the ether that movie is not a holiday movie. It's like a murder movie. That in the suitcase, it's like his wife's body or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know all the details, but I'm gonna be looking at it through that lens. Be like, is this like a murder mystery?
No, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh,
I'll have to
that's
check it
crazy.
out, though.
All right, I want to share what my favorite moment is. So mine is. Well, it's along the same line of yours when the chaos ensues. And once the tape is played and everyone riots and the walkers appear and start eating people and Daryl is separated from Judith, he shoots the walker and she says, give me the gun. And they need our help. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh. The fact that she didn't want her gun in the beginning and she, throughout this episode, realizes that she needs the gun because she wants to help people. I just love that moment. I love when Daryl says, let's do this together, because he's treating her like she's so much older. Like she knows so much more than all these other Commonwealth people, right? She's just braver, knows more, even though she's little. And did you see her friend? Her friend's mouth was hanging open. I
know. And Judith is just like, what?
Yeah. She's like, she shoots Walker. I thought she was going to shoot Sebastian, which they should. But I was curious if they will. I don't know what's going to happen.
They probably will have to.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll show it or not. But I just thought that was, she was really just a reflection or a legacy of the whole Grimes family, of Rick, her father, of Carl, her brother. I just feel like she was just them. Mm-hmm. And I just loved that moment. And I just thought it was really a great Walking Dead sentiment of all of them and the legacy that they have. So I just thought that was so cool. So I loved it. That was my favorite moment.
I think it's kind of easy to forget that Judith is like a child, because she has had to deal with like a ton of stuff. And like, even when they're not in like crisis, they're still in the apocalypse. So like, she's always going through things. And then when she ran away, like that is such like a child thing to do, but she's a child. So it's, so it's fine. Yeah. So I think that moment was like, it was just really nice because she took the gun and she's ready to see that you can help in other ways too, I think. Yeah.
And I want to add Judith's commentary on the people that were gone. Oh my gosh. I mean, we saw Merle and Beth and Carl and Rick and Glenn and Herschel. And she says, remembering their voices is how we keep them alive.
She got me there.
Okay, so tell me, which character from a previous season would you have loved to have seen in this episode?
I think I would love to see how Rick or Michonne would handle this stuff. I think they both were more aggressive because they had to be than I think like our group is. Like, I think they were more aggressive than our group is. Like they were just because they had to be because, you know, it was harder and stuff. So I think it'd be nice to see maybe in more peace times if Rick and Michonne would still approach things that way, or if they would approach it more level-headed. But I think they would always still have a little edge where like they wouldn't take any kind of shit from like, you know, Hornsby or Pamela.
Yeah.
Nice to see just how I guess they like evolved, I guess.
Uh-huh.
What about you?
Well, I am going to say Carl because I think he would have been able to fight and protect Judith and RJ. I think that Judith really needed him this episode, even though Daryl is like, you know, her uncle and really close to her. I don't know. I feel like Carl just could have been just a part of her family. I just think that it would have been great to have seen him. I do miss Carl. I think that he was very brave. I think he was very confident. He made a lot of decisions that weren't always the best, but he was growing up in an apocalypse and he was a child and he did live in the regular world and then this world. And I just think he was going through a lot of things because there were things that I'm like, Carl, just wanted to shake him. But
I'm not a Carl fan.
I'm a Carl fan because I feel like there were so many times. I didn't like him when he was challenging Rick because Rick's my favorite. Rick never makes the wrong decisions, or he does. But, you know, I always give him a pardon if I didn't agree with them. So I didn't like it whenever he'd question his dad, or like, you know, the time when he shot that guy and Herschel was bringing up his worries to Rick about it. By the way, I love Herschel. He's another one of my favorites. But we'll get to him. Yeah, we're going to, hopefully I'll get to him in one of the future episodes, but I love Herschel. I should have said Herschel because Herschel's always to me this,
he's wise.
You know, he's like Yoda. Mm-hmm. He just knows what to say. And so I do miss him, but back to Carl. I know that he has been controversial a little bit, but I think really his heart was good though. And I would have liked to have seen him. He did care about his family a lot. It would have been interesting to see his relationship with Negan because Negan kind of had a soft spot for him, except for when he was going to shoot him in the back of the head when Shiva came. Shiva. So, but
we don't talk about that. You know, we don't talk about that. Just like we don't talk about Bruno.
So I just think I would have liked to have seen Carl in these episodes. All right. So let's get to what do you hope to see in the next episode, or do you have any predictions?
I want to see Princess and I want to see Dog. Just proof of life. Just a paper beside his little snoot. That's all. And I want to know what's going to happen with like Max and Eugene. I think that's the most pressing thing. And I know that's what we're going to get to, but I just don't know if he knew. And I don't know how he can forgive Max if she didn't tell him. And then I don't know how they can justify punishing Eugene if, you know, he didn't know. And then how do they punish this whole group, which then I think will cause issues with the like, you know, the like unrest and that kind of stuff, because a lot of the people that our crew is hanging out with they're part of the protesters. So if our crew is gone, then they're going to know that something happened and, you know, probably riot. So so there's just a lot that needs to be answered, I think.
Yeah.
What about you?
I hope that the others, meaning Aaron and company, escape those variant walkers. I saw the previews.
Yeah,
I was freaking out because the doors all jiggling.
The hands.
And Jerry says something like, what the, you know? And then
Jerry can't die. Jerry and Dog
none of them can die.
Well,
they're killing me.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that worries me. And yes, about Eugene, I'm worried about him because Pamela says he has to pay. And yeah, just I'm looking forward to the new, the rest of the season, but I'm worried because somebody's probably going to die.
I think a few somebodies are going to die.
I know, and I don't know who those are going to be, and I don't like it.
Well,
all right.
No, it's not going to be Daryl, Carol, Negan,
I know.
Maggie, Rick Michonne.
Yes, just those. Those are the only ones that are safe. So.
I think so.
Oh, man. Okay. That wraps up our conversation on The Walking Dead. I would like to know, Sam, what else you are currently watching.
So I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale, and then The Midnight Club. I'm only one episode in on The Midnight Club, but immediately I'm hooked. I love Mike Flanagan. I think I talked about him last week too. This show won't be like his other ones. It's not, because like the other ones are heavier. Not that the show won't be heavy. It's about kids with, terminal stuff and like
right.
spooky ghosts. So like it's going to be heavy, but it's not going to be as heavy as the other ones. And it's going to be like a kid actors, but I know he's a talent for finding a talented children actor. So I have faith that they'll be able to, to handle everything. So, but I'm excited to be scared though, because it is October after all.
Yeah.
And then for movies, I watched the movie Alone on Hulu. And then there's another one called Songbird. So the Alone came out in 2020, and it's about this kid who gets stuck in his apartment during the apocalypse, essentially. And there's a Korean version called #Alone. But it's not the exact same movie, but it has like a similar plot. It's also really good. I recommend that one too. But this Alone on Hulu, this kid wakes up in his apartment and the apocalypse is happening. And he doesn't know, like they have a power for a while, and then eventually everything, just like just dies down. And he has to he finds a neighbor, falls in love. They have to escape. But what I liked about this movie the most is when this zombie virus, it infects you and you are a zombie and you need to eat and stuff, but you still you still have a little bit of yourself in there. So you can't stop what you're doing, but you can still talk. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so creepy. And I was watching it alone, which is not a good idea.
Alone?
But it was during the day. So it's a little safer then. But so these people will be attacking you. And they, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this because I don't want to, spoil it. I mean, it is a 2-year-old movie, though. What do you think, Diana?
Don't give away the ending. That's what I would say.
What happens when the virus infects you is you still can talk, but you need to consume flesh and you can't stop yourself. I think it's your id just takes over. And so these people are running after you, trying to eat you, but they can still talk to you. So they are shouting run, run, hide, kill me, kill me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they're which is creepy because you hear but they're talking. So, but they're not infected, but then they're going to eat you. And so I really liked that. I thought it was a really interesting take on the zombie, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I watched with my partner and my brother the movie Prey. It was on Hulu. Came out a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And it's a prequel to the Predator series, which I've never really seen. I don't really like gratuitous violence, and I've seen one Predator movie and it was super violent. So I don't mind violence, but it just seemed excessive. But this one takes place in the 1700s, and it's a Comanche tribe, and it's this a woman. Her name is Naru, and she's trying to become a hunter, and so she's the whole movie is about how everyone underestimates her family, the hunters, the other bad people, the predator thing, and then every time they underestimate her, she wins. And so it was just it's a nice, it's a driven movie, and it's it is really good. And it's beautifully shot, and there's a really cute dog in it, and it's just, and it's still kind of spooky, so it counts for October. So
yeah.
But What about you?
I want to say that I am watching, I think I've seen, okay, so I'm watching The Handmaid's Tale also on Hulu. I'm loving it. The Midnight Club, I started watching that. I've seen 5 episodes. So just for everybody out there, and you had talked about it last podcast episode, but it's a horror mystery thriller with terminally ill patients at Bright Cliff Hospice who begin to gather at midnight to share scary stories. And what I have liked about it so far is that one of them will tell a story, and then it's, as they're telling the story, it goes into, they're acting it out, right?
Yeah.
And so you see the segment. So you're visualizing what the story is, and the characters are a lot of them, some of them. So I think that's kind of cool the way it does that. It is light. It's not super scary. So people can, if you're totally scared, oh my God, people are slashing. No, it's not like that.
And if you want to get properly spooked, you can check out, he has a TV show coming out next, I think spring, maybe fall of next year, called The Fall of the House of Usher. That's when you can get properly spooked.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I have also watched Prey, the movie that you talked about.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I have watched 50% of all the Predators. Of course, I watched the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger because that's, my husband loves all of those. But after that, I've periodically seen a few of the other ones. They're not, I think the third one might be okay too. My husband's a fan of all of those. So when this came out, my son's all, you got to watch this. It's the, prequel to the rest. And you're right. It was so good because it was about this young female and about her wanting to be a hunter and just her successes. So I just thought that was really good.
Ooh,
I loved
and for
seeing
those
her.
who are wondering, the dog, it does not die.
I know. That's
I look it
so
up.
Good. I'm glad. So I'm also watching The Hype, which is on HBO Max. Now, I saw the first season. I was looking for a movie or something to watch, and all of a sudden that popped up. I'm like, wait, that was last year? Why is that up? I said, oh my gosh, it's on again. So what this is it's basically like Making the Cut or Project Runway, but instead of high fashion, it's streetwear.
Oh.
So it's a competition show, and I love seeing a creative competition show, but it's totally streetwear. It's just cool. I like watching competition shows. So that's on HBO Max. And I only watched the first episode of Interview with a Vampire. It's on AMC. And this is a fresh take on Anne Rice's 1976 Gothic novel, Interview with a Vampire. And then, of course, there was the 1994 movie with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, which I am not a vampire person. Of course, I said that I wasn't a zombie person until I watched The Walking Dead too, but I'm not, I've never been a vampire person, but I did watch True Blood and I did love that show.
That show, I wish I could have watched it like as it came out, like in real time. I didn't watch it until it was almost over, I think. I don't know. I think because I didn't have HBO, I guess, and then I did.
I didn't either. I just watched it like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I was way behind, but I fell in love so hard. I had to look up all these people and find out, what they were doing, what was happening. I love that show. So Interview with a Vampire, the first episode was pretty good, but, I don't know yet. I don't know. It's not that it's not good. It's just, I don't know if it's what I want to watch or not. So we'll have to see. But the first episode was pretty good. So, and then I watched the movie Ambulance, which is on Prime. It's an action thriller. It's directed and produced by Michael Bay, who does Transformers and a lot of other things. Very action packed. So if you really like action packed movies, then you'll want to watch that. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Elsa Gonzalez, and Yahya Abdul Mateen, I think is his last name. And it's basically a bank robbery that goes bad, and they hijack an ambulance. And Elsa Gonzalez plays like an EMT who's trying to save people. And it's a crazy ride. Okay. You got to suspend belief as you're watching this. It was watchable.
Michael Bay fan.
Yeah.
Although I do have a lot of fond memories with the first Transformers.
I love the first one.
It's so good. I
Yes.
watched it recently and I was just like, this is a good movie. And then it's like after that it goes to shit. But
Yeah.
the first one's really good.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Sam, thank you. Thank you for your TV and movie recommendations. I can't wait to check out a couple things that you mentioned. And of course, as always, thank you for your insights on The Walking Dead. I love talking about it with you. I just love your perspective, and you make me think, and you bring up some really good points. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on all of those things.
Thank you for recommending a new holiday movie. I have like a Christmas movies to watch, but I don't have a Thanksgiving one. So now I might.
You should.
It's a pleasure talking The Walking Dead. I don't really talk about it anymore with anyone. So it's nice to get all my thoughts out to someone other than my dog. She's probably like, I don't care about those zombies, Mom. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, she doesn't have a reaction, right?
No, she's just, which you can't see because there's no video, but she just like stares at you like, can I go back to bed?
Yeah. All right. That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you tuned in, and we hope something that we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our website and follow Screens in Focus, and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. Wherever you listen, if you can rate and review, that would be awesome. It would help other listeners find us. We'll be releasing a new episode next week. Next show will be on The Walking Dead, Season 11, Episode 19. You can find our website listed in our show notes. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.